So I kind of have a thing for vampires. They're my go-to monster of choice. I'm not so much into the Wolfman or the Mummy or the Invisible Man. Vampires have always been my jam, even from when I was a little kid. My general interest with vampires has lined up with this image. This is a vampire hunting kit. I mean, it's not. There isn't such a thing as a vampire hunting kit, and there isn't any real evidence of vampire hunting kits prior to about 1950. Gee, 1950, huh? The time when movie making was starting to really get going, and you have all the Hammer vampire movies, and Count Dracula has been this movie villain for a long time, going back into the earliest movies. What is interesting to me is that this vampire hunting kit is also extremely specific to Eastern Europe and those kinds of vampires. No, we're talking about the Transylvania-specific sort of Vlad the Impaler types of vampires and that resulting folklore. Okay, so this is an Eastern European vampire hunting kit. Got it. But where places like CNN and the BBC, come on, BBC, really? And the auction house Hanson Auctioneers drop the ball is that even if there was historical evidence of vampire hunting kits, which there's not, you would not go out to hunt vampires without a crucial piece of equipment that is sorely lacking in this kit. In Eastern European vampire lore, there are lots of specific traits and weaknesses that vampires have. You probably know a whole bunch of these, like holy water. Really, any running water will repel a vampire. Silver, garlic, the sun. Being beheaded is a weakness. Getting staked through the heart. Crosses. Vampires don't reflect in a mirror. Geez, actually, this is starting to stack up now that I'm kind of listing these things out. But either way, one of these traits that doesn't usually come up, but definitely in folklore, is that vampires have OCD. They have obsessive compulsive disorder. A common way to rid yourself of a vampire was not to hunt down a vampire and start splitting open coffins and burning a bunch of remains. No. It's to play into that vampire's weaknesses, like sunlight and their aforementioned OCD. So you take a bunch of coins or a bunch of grain and you scatter it all over the ground, usually at an intersection or a crossroads. The vampire comes along and goes, "Oh no, I have to count all of this stuff that someone has carelessly placed on the ground. 1, 2, 3, and they do that all night long. And then, by the time they're done, the sun's going to come up and they have to get back to their grave before the sun rises, which also is another weakness. They have to sleep in their coffin grave dirt. The Count from Sesame Street. He's always counting. Sure, I'm gonna assume it's a play on Count Dracula, like get counting Dracula, but the Count is often counting against his will. He can't stop himself from counting. He is compelled and driven to count. Even when it's objectively unhelpful for him to count things, he's still counting things.
Getting faster. Once I start counting, it's very hard to stop. Faster, faster. It is so exciting. I could count forever. Count until I drop.
This is like the one thing that Sesame Street nailed that all these other things, especially who's ever trying to float this nonsense, completely dropped the ball on. So why aren't there 50 grains of barley or a bunch of old copper coins in this vampire hunting kit? If it's authentic, it would have that stuff. It'd be like your go-to thing. And it's the one that's the least dangerous for you. All you have to do is throw a bunch of stuff on the ground, and Dracula's going to be like, "Hold on, I have to count this." Yeah, great. Super. And then I get to go home and take a nap. It's like not having silver bullets in your werewolf hunting kit and then calling that authentic. Also, there aren't werewolves or werewolf hunting kits. That this is even an auction item at all is very silly. But to me, it's extra silly because this fake history nonsense you're trying to float doesn't even lean into the folklore. Come on. So as soon as I finished shooting and recording and getting all the images for this, this turned up. $15,000, you say, huh?
It's a fake.
Alrighty.